Hello, and in today's video we're discussing a question we've received from an IT leader, which is, how do I help information disseminate beyond middle management? So there's quite a lot to unpack even in the question, I think, here. So let me just be a bit more specific about the situation and then we can start with some tips. We've got, if you imagine a leadership team who would like to know that everything, or the ideas, the knowledge, the information about what the customers need and so on are being spread out across the organisation. But there are some concerns that the engineers, the people within the technology team further down in the hierarchy aren't hearing about it because it's being stopped, adjusted, fiddled with, so what, at the middle. Okay? So how would you help that particular leader?
Flatten the organisation structure.
There we go. Well, honestly, yes. That's that. How long are these videos?
So we're just talking about the flow of information, downwards and upwards. So there's lots of different media. I guess the first thing would be to understand what tools you have available in your organisation so far. So if you've got intranet or Slack or whatever it is, what method of communication works well for those particular teams. And you'll quite often find, particularly in large organisations, that your tech teams will prefer to use one thing and then your corporate teams will prefer to use the other. So you might need to be able to cross-pollinate some of those. So maybe different medias and different channels, but make sure there is consistency of that communication that's flowing down, so it's all the same.
And educate people regularly about where that information is. Remind people that that's where you can find it. There's a reason why we keep seeing the same adverts on the TV and we keep getting the same health warnings, and it's because we forget. People lose track. We're busy. It's not necessarily front of mind. So keep reminding people where those media are. You went from a very high level to a very low level there. So I think we can come back up to the middle. So you're right about tooling. Make sure that the data is available and that people can get access to the message. If we've got a concern here that information is stopping in the middle, there could be several things. It could be that the middle management layer didn't understand the message that came through, didn't understand the weight, the relevance, the importance of the thing that was being talked about. And that would work in both directions anyway. So that implies some challenges with the relationship between the lead and the middle manager as well. If I were in that position, I would certainly be talking to the middle managers individually, and not in an exploratory way. Find out a bit more about them. What are they trying to get done?
Well, I think make sure they understand the message it's conveying, because there tends to be quite a lot of middle managers or team leads, etc. And quite often the bottleneck happens because they're being compressed with information from down, and then they've got information going up from their teams, and it sits there because of overwhelm or whatever that reason. They don't know what to do with it. So making sure they understand will be really key. Is there any harm in bypassing that just to make sure the flow of information happens anyway? So it happens from a corporate level. We've seen that work before in large organisations where if you get your tooling right and the information happens, it just appears. It's just flowed downwards and upwards. And
then people can choose what they subscribe to, choose what updates they get.
And then you can have conversations around team meetings, so the managers that could then say, look, this is the theme for this month, let's have a team meeting about it, or let's have a conversation about it, let's brainstorm it, and do it that way, because then you'll get ideas that can actually generate, and then they can be the ones that are sharing the information upwards. That works quite well.
I think there's an important point around, I know I smiled earlier when you talked about flattening the organisation. In organisations that are becoming more flat, as more information is being disseminated, or rather the channels are open, and teams are working more autonomously and so on, there is a challenge which could be a point here, and certainly something to investigate, where the middle management are struggling to know what they do now. There are plenty of studies that say that effective managers in that space who focus on coaching, awareness, context. They force multiply teams. But if the leaders that you've got, the managers at that level in your organisation, don't yet know about that role or aren't experienced in doing that, then they might be reverting to type.
Yes.
Stuff comes through me, because it always has. Maybe some education, some support that they desperately need.
Yes, yeah. Traditional management.
Yeah. Then that steps you towards flattening an organisation, joking aside. It does actually genuinely get there. It starts to make your managers in the organisation the people that, arguably as they should, they help to make sure that the system is smooth. It runs. People have got the resources and the capabilities that they need available, so that you can get to an answer much more quickly. Final point, because I think we're coming to time on the video. Final point would be around simplicity.
Yes, definitely.
One of the other reasons why messages get confused is we either try too many messages, or the message is complex in itself. It makes it hard to understand, hard to convey onto other people, and you end up with a whispers thing where the message changes.
Yes, if you can theme the messages. So if it's if it's well known that you're going to have one customer success message in that month, plus a team achievement, or there's a particular change and they're getting an update, or the financial results, whatever it is, if those 3 or 4 things become a norm, people then become to expect it, they'll look for it, and they'll ask questions about it. So keeping it really simple.
Yeah, I would agree.
So we hope that helps. If you have any questions or comments about what we've said, please do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, we'll catch up with you again soon. Thank you.